going to take a look at graphing some word problems. So this first one here, write an equation of the cosine function with amplitude of 4 and period of 5 pi. So we know our cosine function is y equals, make this a little smaller here, y equals a the cosine of bx, since we don't have any shifts. Well, our a is easy. We know that that is 4. But we have to find our b value, and we know our b value is 2 pi over b, our period. Well, we know that equals 5 pi, so now we can just solve for b. So times b times b, so 2 pi equals 5 pi b, divide by 5 pi, divide by 5 pi, so we have b equals 2/5, so it'd be 2/5 x. So we can see if we did our normal 2 pi divided by 2/5, that'd be 2 pi times 5 over 2, which would give us our period of 5 pi. So then we're asked to graph this. Okay, so that first one here, we know our amplitude is 4, so I'm going to put 4 and -4 because our midline there is 0. 4 marks on each side. So we know our period is 5 pi. So to find those marks, it's 1/4 times 5 pi. So we have 5 pi over 4. So 5 pi over 4 would be the first one. The next one would be 10 pi over 4, which reduces down to 5 pi over 2. So 5, 10, 15 pi over 4. Then 20 pi over 4, which is 5 pi. And it's a cosine. So cosine starts high, and then it would go to the middle, low, middle, high. And we can go backwards as well. So the second one here that we're going to take a look at. Write the equation of a sine function with amplitude of 6, period of pi, and I see here we have a phase shift and a vertical shift. So we have a lot of blanks to fill in. A, the sine, bx plus c plus d. Well, we know our a value is 6. We don't know b and c yet, but we know our d is -2. So let's find our b value. So period is 2 pi over b, and we know our period equals pi. Well, for that to be the case, b has to be 2. We could solve it if we needed to, so times b times b. So 2 pi equals pi times b, so b has to be 2. So we could fill that in. And then we have to do our phase shift. So it's to the right, so that's going to be minus. And our phase shift is c over b. And we know that equals pi over 4. Well, we know our b value is 2, so c over 2 equals pi over 4. We'll solve for c times 2 times 2. So c equals 2 pi over 4, which reduces down to pi over 2. So let's see if we can graph this one. So let's see, our period was pi. So that means our first one's pi over 4. 1 pi over 4, 2 pi over 4, which is pi over 2, 3 pi over 4. And I already forgot what that other stuff is. So our amplitude is 6, and it was moved down 2. So we know that this is, let's see, maybe I'll count by 2's. So our midline, it was moved down 2, so here's our amplitude, or our midline. And then our amplitude is 6. So if we go up 6, we'd be at a high of 4. If we go down 6, we'd be at a low of -8. So this is sine. So sine starts in the center, but that phase shift was to the right pi over 4. So we have to move our starting value here to the right pi over 4. So here's our new start. So if that's the start, the next one would be high, mid, low. So this would be low. Oops, my bad. I didn't start it in the mid. This should be the mid right here. Because our midline is -4. I was going to say that looks a little bit off there. So then high, mid, low. So the third one here, on February 10th, 1990, high tide in Boston was at midnight. The water level at high tide was 9.9 feet. Later at low tide it was 0.1 feet, assuming the next high tide is exactly 12 hours later. So let's see, write a cosine curve. So let's see. So it happens at midnight, so 12 a.m. Let's see, and then at 12 p.m. is the next high tide. So low tide has to be right in the middle, so wouldn't that be at 6 would be low tide, and it's at 0.1. Well, then how do we find what's right in the middle here? So at 3 and at 9. Well, we could add those and divide by 2. Find that average. So 9.9 plus 0.1 is 10, divided by 2 is 5. So let's see if this works. So from 9.9, so it's going down, so that's going down 4.9, down again 4.9, up 4.9, and then up 4.9 again. All right, so we have this, so we need to write a cosine curve. Well, our period is 12, and our amplitude, that difference between the mid and the high, is 4.9. And let's see, it's starting high, so it's going to be a cosine curve. So we know that it is y equals 4.9, the cosine, but then we have to find our b value. So 2 pi divided by b is 12. So times b, so 2 pi equals 12b. Divide by 12, so b equals pi over 6. Oops. So we have pi over 6